Welcome one to This Week in PlayStation, your weekly look at all the new games on the PlayStation Network and all the new trophy lists that have been revealed. Lots of new stuff on PSN, as well as a bunch of interesting trophy lists to talk about and some of the games that I've been playing this week. Without further ado, though, let's jump into it. This is the PlayStation Store, of course, and this is the new stuff that's been put up. First off is Double Dragon 4, which I have reviewed. From this point on in these videos, I will be putting in like a card. I'm using that card system that YouTube likes to have, so you can click on any of the reviews that I have reviewed these games. You can just click that, and it'll take you right to the review if you want more information on the particular game. But anyway, Double Dragon 4 is a sequel to Double Dragon 2, but the NES version. This is different than that Double Dragon 2 remake they did on Xbox Live Arcade that was awful, or the really cool Double Dragon Neon by Way Forward on the last generation of consoles. This is like a completely retro style game. The sprite work looked exactly out of the NES. The PS4 version has a few little issues with screen tearing. That's something I didn't even notice during gameplay, but if you look at my review footage, you'll clearly see it. It's with the backgrounds when you're walking and stuff. Apparently this stuff was fixed on the Steam version, or is being fixed on Steam, and also is the reason why the Japanese release for Double Dragon 4 was delayed, but the European and US release came out anyway with those issues intact. There's also some glitching with the sound, though I haven't really run into much of that. The coolest thing about Double Dragon 4, though, is right here. This is the versus mode of it, but you have all these playable characters, and you actually unlock them to play not only in this versus mode, but you also unlock characters that you can then play in the tower mode, which is kind of a big, giant gauntlet of matches. You gotta go 100 floors beating enemies with 1 health bar, as well as you unlock all the characters playable in the main story. So once you complete the main game once, you unlock the tower, and then going through the tower, you unlock that, and that's actually a lot of the fun. The core game just by itself, if you just play the main story, it was just mediocre at best as far as the main game. It's 12 missions long. Took me roughly an hour once I finally kind of got the hang of everything. It can be very cheap, but it does have a platinum. It involves beating all of the tower floors, which is really difficult, as well as beating the game with every one of the playable characters. So that will eat up quite a bit of time if you're going to go after that platinum. There's a tabletop racing swag bag, which I assume is the DLC kind of all included with the game. To do everything, including the full game, the Supercharger pack, and the Tropical Ice pack, which was the Supercharger was the first pack of DLC for it, and then the Tropical Ice pack, which added even more courses and stuff. I'm sure the DLC is actually pretty fun with it. I did a review for Tabletop Racing a long time ago when it was free on PS Plus, but I've never checked out the DLC. That doesn't seem to be an unbelievably awful price for everything included. Next up is the, I guess, official now release of Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Mega Battle, another game I did review weeks ago. But they now have released it as originally when they put it out, they were like the starter pack or founder pack or something, which some games that are like multiplayer and stuff do that. Like they have like the starter version that gives you a little bit of extra stuff. I don't really know what was all different between this and the regular. I think there may have been an extra little thing included with this game, but basically it's a very mediocre beat 'em up that's cashing in on the nostalgia of the old Power Rangers, along with like the hype for the new Power Rangers movie that's coming out. But it was just very plain for a beat 'em up. There wasn't a whole lot to it overall. I wasn't a huge fan. There is the Madden NFL 17 Super Bowl edition. So basically Madden 17, we're getting to the end of the season, basically when Madden's going to be relevant, so they're trying to get any last sales they really can on it. So $20 for Madden 17 isn't the worst price ever, considering it's still the current Madden, but you know how sports games don't really hold a lot of value, so if you haven't picked it up yet, I don't see why necessarily would be the time to go do that. Next up is Limelight. This is a game I talked about last week. It seems like a pretty cool little puzzle game, and it does have a platinum trophy in it, from what I remember. In fact, I will double check that right now, just to be sure, but yes, it does have a platinum. Doesn't look like very many people have gotten no one's gotten it yet. Of course, there's only 30 game owners, so not a lot of people have checked out this game yet, but it seemed like an interesting little puzzle game. Just anything that's different usually ends up catching my eye, and $10 It doesn't seem to be a horrible price, but I haven't checked it out personally myself. Here is another bundle with Letter Quest, 3/4 Home, and Paranautical Activity. They're now bundling all three. These games have their own individual packages together with like Letter Quest and Paranautical and 3/4 Home and Letter Quest. And I don't know, they really want to push these games. This has been like every week for like the last month. It feels like a new package deal with these particular games. I have not played any of them. 3/4 Home seemed like an interesting little game, but like just a very small, little like short, experimental story-driven type of game. But speaking of story-driven style games, Knee Deep is now out on PS4. This is a game that's portrayed as a play being performed in front of you. Another one I did a full review for this week. That a few people have checked it out. The game is all dialogue choices. It does have a platinum and is a very easy platinum. There is a few spots that you will have to play differently, so you have to do multiple playthroughs. I'm not positive if you have to complete the entire game from start again, or is it just segments you'll have to do. I haven't dove into that. Playing through the way I did, and just doing a little bit of reloading when it came to this, there's a test in the game you can take, and you have to get the characters to perform at 3 different levels of the test, with 2 of the 3 main playable characters, so that's 6 trophies right there for that. I got 4 of them so far, 4 of those trophies, but everything else included, playing through the game my first time through, I still ended up with 80% of the trophies, so very, very easy. I will have to play through again, but I want a guide like to make sure I don't mess it up my next times through. It's kind of a cool game. I like the dialogue. There's a lot of cynicism and sarcasm in some of the dialogue choices you get to make, which is I like in a dialogue-driven game where you get to make choices. I like the more, butthole type of answers, so that's what made me enjoy it. I laughed a few times during the course of it. $14.99. It is a bit pricey for the kind of game that it is, but I still end up getting enjoyment out of it. You can check out my full review if you want more on that. Next up is Kill the Bad Guy, another game that I reviewed. Just happened to be the ones I reviewed all in a row. I don't know, I gotta put in the date of my birth. I was born in 1913, PlayStation. You're gonna keep me out of this. But anyway, so this is a very interesting little puzzle game. It came out in 2014 on PC, Steam, and now it's finally on PS4. Basically, you get these these setups, this isometric view. It's kind of like a diorama setup, and this bad guy is going to walk through the level, and your goal is to set up a trap to kill him in some gruesome, horrible way. The bad guys all have long descriptions about who they are when you start up a level, and they're all based on real serial killers and terrorists and stuff, which some people may not end up liking all that much. But as you can see, there's all kinds. You can run them over with cars, blow up cars, and then send the fire into them, set off manhole covers and send them into the air, hit them with wrecking balls, drop pianos on them, dump garbage on them. There's a lot of creativity when it comes to the game. The game features 60 levels and 6 bonus levels, so there's a good amount there, and $7 is not a bad price for the amount of levels and like. So if you're looking for a puzzle game that's a little bit different, you may want to check out Kill the Bad Guy. No platinum, though, in that game, just a relatively easy 100%. Hand of Fate is a game that looked kind of interesting. I didn't end up playing it myself yet. It's you have card-based stuff and a tactical style of game. It did look, like I said, kind of interesting. I want to double check, of course, if there is. There is a platinum for the game, though. Is this the old one? That's the old one. This is the deluxe edition. I want to make sure that I'm getting its Hand of Fate Deluxe. I don't know if there's a different trophy list. May not be a different trophy list. So basically, this is a game. It has been out for a bit. The deluxe version maybe adds DLC. Let's read this. The original game plus the Wildcards DDT. I was going to say DDT. I don't know why. Wildcards DLC and the Murder at Sea update. So there you go. But there you go. You can see a deck building, and then it comes to, I guess it's one of those, the cards come to life and battle each other. So it seems, like I said, a pretty interesting game. If you've played it since it's been out for a while, let me know about it if it's a game I should check out. $21.99 was a bit pricey, so I ended up not checking out myself, mostly due to that, but it seemed kind of interesting. Next up is Geki Yaba Runner. This is a Vita game that is an endless runner style game, clearly. I like endless runners if they're done well and creatively. I like the aesthetic here with the gnomes and stuff. It looks like it could be a fun little distraction. I don't think it has a platinum, though. Is it Geki? Yaba. Which doesn't even come up when maybe the trophy list isn't even out for it yet on the PSN profiles, because that was a problem we ran into with another Vita game a few weeks ago, that, like, for some reason the trophy list wasn't even listed for the Vita. So if you've messed with it and you've seen the trophy list, let me know about that. But it's an endless runner, so not a whole lot of people, of course, going to be into it. Fate Extella, which was a game we've talked about, is now out on Vita. This seemed like a pretty cool-esque action RPG thing with some, like, Dynasty Warrior-looking elements and stuff. So it seems like a pretty cool game. I want to check it out down the road. It's a full-price release, $40 on Vita and $60 on PS4, but one I will be checking out for sure in the future. There's a bundle here for Eagle Flight and Werewolves within the PSVR bundle. A bit pricey, for sure. Basically, Eagle Flight was like one of the VR games they really hyped. It does have a platinum, but it's very grindy from what I've heard. I don't have the VR, of course, so I haven't checked it out myself. And then Werewolves Within is based on, like, I think, is it called Werewolf or Werewolves? It's a multiplayer game. You have to play it multiplayer. But basically, I think I've played the actual game before with real people, like it's a card-based game. And basically, you have to deduct who is the werewolves by asking questions and stuff like that. It's kind of fun, so I'm sure it's pretty fun with a group of friends if you all have VR and can get online with it. I'm sure it's actually pretty fun. I don't think it does have a plat, though. That's another unfortunate thing, though, but Eagle Flight does. Dynasty Warriors God Seekers is out. This is a weird Dynasty Warriors entry that's a more tactical game over your more traditional games. It adds like a new weird anime-ish character to the whole mix. Not that the whole thing didn't have an anime look to it, but you can clearly see with her in particular, Lixia or whatever. I would have bought this game day one, but there's no physical release for it, which is just a no-no. If you're going to release a full-price game, I have to get the physical. Like, I'm not going to pay $60 for the game if it's not going to at least get a physical copy of it. That's just me. I know a lot of people don't care about that stuff, but I do as a collector and stuff like that. One of the main reasons is stuff like we've seen, like, for example, TMNT, Mutants in Manhattan. Not that was that great of a game, but it's already been pulled from the PSN, so you can't download it digitally or get it new. Like, the only way you'll be able to play it still is by getting it. So that's just one advantage to getting physical over digital, is that these games aren't going to disappear. Like Scott Pilgrim on the PS3, awesome beat 'em up, one of my favorites. But unless you bought it already, like, you can't buy the game anymore, like by the store, because they lost the license. So if you owned it before, you can re-download it. But if you haven't for some reason, there's no way to get a hold of it. I wish they had done a physical release for that. That would we would have guaranteed we'd still be able to get a hold of it. Next up is Divide, which I know is a little bit of buzz going around. I didn't check it out just because it's a little bit out of, like, very low on funds this week. So I had to really limit my budget. But $24.99 for Divide. It seems like a kind of a cool game with, like, the futuristic game. It's this top-down perspective. It does have a full trophy list from what I saw, and it seemed like it'd be very interesting. We talked about it last week and looked at the trophy list for it. Digimon World Next Order. This is the follow-up to Digimon Cyber Sleuth or whatever. I don't know if they're the same kind of game, because I didn't get a chance to play Cyber Sleuth, but I'm happy that Digimon is finally getting new games, you know, brought back up. The last one I had played through all the way was the DS one. There's at least two on DS. I think it was Dusk and Dawn. There may be ones after that, but the ones named Dusk and Dawn, I played through Dusk. That was the last one I played. I also heard rumors that they're making, or it may be true, actually, because someone told me about it, the Digimon World. They're making a new Digimon World, which was the PlayStation 1 era of RPGs for Digimon. This game looks really cool, though, and I will be getting it down the road. Just it was a little bit low on money this week. And since I still haven't played Cyber Sleuth, though I did buy that game, it wasn't going to be like, oh, I should buy this too. I keep doing that mistake of, I've done that with the Tales games, where I keep buying them a lot of times, and then I never get around to actually playing them, so I had to limit myself on it. But if you've messed with it, let me know, of course, what you think so far. Next up is Dex. This is another PlayStation VR game. We've talked about it multiple times because it's been a lot of trophy lists for it in all the regions, having different trophy lists, no platinum involved. But it's a VR, like first-person perspective, obviously VR shooter, where things you got to hit like light, like blue stuff, hit red enemies with blue, and hit blue enemies with red. It's fire and ice kind of deal with it. It looks really cool for it, and that's not a bad price point for a VR game, so it looks like one of your lower end price points for your VR. And last but certainly not least, I guess, I don't know, maybe, is Adventure Pop. we're actually going to go ahead and look at the trailer for Adventure Pop, because I'm kind of interested in it. This is a free game. I haven't downloaded it yet personally myself. No platinum, though, for the trophy list. I have looked at that. But let's go ahead and look at our first trailer for the week. This is Adventure Pop. It's basically a one of those Bust-A-Move. It's a Bust-A-Move clone versus Bust-A-Move clone, so you can play against friends. Clearly, I like the artwork. Artwork's kind of cool. I like puzzle games, so this is one I may end up getting a download to at some point if I get a little bit of extra time. If I don't have the time to dedicate to it, you know. But I do like the artwork. I actually really do like the characters and the artwork. So great job on them for that. So it seems like a kind of a cool game. Let me get the back to PSN profiles, and we can now move from the PlayStation Store. Here we go. Here are all the new, beautiful, amazing games here on PSN profiles for this week. I was just talking about Double Dragon 4. I have not gotten past the 30th floor yet in the game. I got like 35 so far is where I got it, and I beat the game as a Bobo. My thing for this, if I'm going to ever platinum it, would have to be if I beat the 100th floor. If I can clear the tower, somehow, some way clear the tower, I would go back and actually try to platinum it, because the rest of it's beating it with all the characters. But I like this, like I said, I like the unlockable characters and stuff like that, so I think that's the funnest part about the game. It's just okay outside of that, though, just to be honest. Limelight, we talked about before. There it is. You can see the trophy list again. It does have a platinum featuring beating all the worlds, collecting all the stars, secret stars. So relatively simple list, but that's probably pretty difficult. Of the 30 people that have played it so far on PSN, nobody has gotten it. It looks like the bonus world B stars and secret stars are what's preventing and reach bonus world B end. So that's probably difficult because no one has done it yet. If you have played it, of course, let me know how difficult that necessarily is. Next up is Blue Collar Astronaut. This does have a platinum. This is an interesting little game. We're going to watch the trailer in just a minute for it. But basically, this is one of those games that has like the real, because it's in space, and have this really weird gravity, and you're playing as like a someone trying to get their license, their space car license. It's kind of weird. So a lot of the I'm surprised a decent amount of trophies here. This is the maximum percent of any game that cares about math. Thanks for playing 100%. So 100%ing the game, of course, is going to be necessary. I like some of the trophy descriptions. A bit hard to tell, of course, how difficult that's going to be. Thy core is of a hard persuasion. I guess it's beating the hard mode, is what I'm going to guess. Watching the credits is a trophy. That's always a fun trophy. Finish the school in under 10 minutes. So a little bit of a speed run thing going on there. So here we go. Here is Blue Collar Astronaut. Let's take a brief look here at it. You can see that. But yeah, so you have this like really difficult to control vehicle, and you have to get within these targets, watching out for stuff, parking and all. It looks like one of those like really good distraction style games. So kind of interesting though that this ended up getting a platinum. So hopefully the price point is a little bit low, and if the trophies are going to be easy or anything like that, I will definitely let people know once this game ends up coming out. Hopefully I'll get a chance to check it out. But it kind of looks cool. Nothing too major or anything special overly about it, but there we go. There's Blue Collar Astronaut. Gonna be looking at that one in a minute. Okay. Next up is Kill the Bad Guy, which I was just talking about. You can check out my full review if you're interested. But basically, was beating all the levels. You have to get all the passports. Basically, in the levels themselves, there's a passport hidden in every level. You have to find all of them, as well as that's like basically the big thing. It's doing that. Like spilling 100 liters of blood will happen. Kill the bodyguard will happen. Cutting off 5 heads is pretty easy to do. There's a couple for beating specific levels, including the zombie level, and then there's the bonus levels, which are a little bit difficult to do. They're basically like a gauntlet. Like zombie level is like a gauntlet against you with like 30 zombies coming your way, and you have to set up traps to take them all out. Probably the harder aspect of the game for sure, as I have posted my review on the forum. If anyone wants to see that there. Anyway, Knee Deep, which I was just talking about as well before, another review. You can see here, a lot of people 2 people have gotten the platinum already. Not a whole lot of people have played it, but it is another easy one, so you're going to be seeing this more of in the future, especially if I do another easiest platinums list. I've done 4 volumes of that, by the way, now. A lot of people have seen my first volume, but never saw the others. But a lot of these are pretty easy, like, except for like the test ones are a little bit difficult because I'm having a hard time getting the sensitive aspect on both of those characters, as well as the other stuff is relatively easy, other than a few specific stuff like posting articles. You got to make sure you post a specific one. Those are a couple I'm missing, as well as the ending of the game. You can see here, you have to make certain choices to make sure that the ending plays out one of two different ways. The final act, basically, and that will allow you to get basically you gotta play it one way and get trophies, and then play it the other way in order to get the other set. But it's a very short game overall. Probably if you have a guide, probably 4 hours and you'll have the platinum. It took me about 3.5 hours to beat it on my initial playthrough. Next up is Toy Odyssey, another game that surprisingly does have a platinum. It looks like a fun little action platformer. It's out on Steam and Xbox One already, and now coming finally to PS4. It's a very, it looks, it's pretty simplistic action platformer. Graphics are okay. Complete the game within 49 nights. That's probably a little bit challenging, because then that's a gold. Collecting all the blueprints, collecting all the diary pages, so plenty of collectibles. Collecting nuts. Gotta collect 10,000 nuts, so that'll probably take a bit of grinding and stuff like that. Seems like a pretty interesting little game. Next up is Typoman Revised, another game that does have a platinum. And we're going to look at the trailer in just a moment for this one. Finishing the chapters, watching the epilogue and credits, beating this one minigame, solve puzzles with other words than those you've used before. Not sure how difficult. Craft 300 words. That could be a little bit grindy. Beat the game without using the word scrambler. So that, once again, that's another one that could be challenging. And then, oh, there you go. Start over and don't ever die. Okay, too hard. Don't die more than 5 times. That, depending upon how long the game is, that could be challenging. Or maybe the game's relatively easy and that's not that bad. So one I'm keeping my eye on as far as potential trophy lists are concerned. But here you go. Here is the trailer. Or no, I do not need an ad from Google about Happy Wheels. There we go. You can see the kind of game it is. It's obviously like a post-apocalyptic setting. It's probably pretty difficult to go through, and I guess you build your character up with different letters as you go through. And then it's probably like a physics-based platformer. We've seen a lot of these over the years, and some of them are really fun and creative. And that looks like it's going to be here. Yeah. It's going to be difficult. So basically, you're going to have to play the game and probably have to replay it at least one time in order to master it. Seems cool though. I like that whole kind of concept of what's going on here. So at least an interesting looking game for sure. Next up is Starry Nights Helix. This game's on Steam. I didn't end up pulling the trailer for it up. It looks okay. Basically, your character, maybe like a rhythm-esque thing where you're pressing the buttons in order to take out the enemies on the other side. Kill 80 bosses. Wow. Okay, so probably very easy. Kill 7,000 enemies. A lot of grinding. It looks like. But it didn't have overly positive reviews or anything from what I remember looking at it on Steam. If anyone's messed with it on Steam, let me know about it. But probably a very grindy 100%, or at least that's what it appears to be. The other list for Typoman, and then next up is another Vita title. Go ahead and translate this one. This is Nova Handpicked Drive Girl. I'm not positive what this is. Another Vita title. With a lot of people having the platinum already, 33%, 5 people have gotten the platinum already. So that's a pretty good sign. Acquisition of credits. I cleared the different episodes. There's a bunch of episodes. I'm not sure if it's a visual novel game or not. Let me know. Rest of the Moment, bonus episode 2, but just that trophy picture there. Yeah, so it looks interesting. That it looks like a pretty easy trophy list for a Vita title. Again, there's a lot of easy Vita title for Platinums. Next up is Claudin Returns. This is Sengoku, another retro-inspired dungeon crawler style of game. Or at least that's what it appeared to be. We're going to look at the trailer. This is a series that has 2 other games in it at least for PSP, I think. And anyway, so this is a new one on Vita. It's supposed to be PS4 as well, but this is just the Vita list. And it does have a Platinum, so that's cool to look at. I'm not sure if this will be coming, when this is coming to PS4, but the announcement trailer, which went up in November, has PS4 and Vita in the description. But yeah, it has like a dungeon crawler-esque experience to it. Retro style, obviously. So it looks kind of cool. A game that I would be interested in. So if it comes to PS4, I'll probably end up checking out. NIS America is the ones that are putting it out here. It's not a physical release, though, or anything like that. Unfortunately. Next up is Super Gun World 2. Another game that I was surprised actually had a Platinum. But it does. Yeah, the old school mode here, reaching level 10, complete each of these stages in quick amount of time. So those are probably going to be a little bit difficult to obtain. Beating the game, it looks like. That's defeat the commander, yesterday extraction faction, and save gun world. So that's probably beating the game. So that's goal 1. Complete a level rush session. I'm not sure how difficult that would end up being. But let's go ahead and take a brief look here at the trailer. It looks like my kind of game, though. It's a retro look, so immediately I'm very, very interested. Could potentially be a difficult game, though. But I love the retro look to it. It looks like it could easily fit like an NES style of game. I know some people are very much sick of this, and there's been the ones that have been done really, really well, and ones not done so well. But looks like a very fun game. So I'm hoping I'll be able to get this one. Yeah, definitely looks like my kind of game for sure. Action platformer RPG hybrid. Oh wow, so they actually have a top-down perspective as well. So now this game really looks cool. Now I'm even more interested. It looks like a lot of effort put into it, and some nice sprite work. And like, was that a gun that fired birds? That's even more awesome. So yeah, this is one that's on my now must-play list. Hopefully it's not too pricey or anything like that. So yeah, no, Super Gun World 2 looks to be pretty awesome, for sure. That is for sure. Adventure Pop, which we've talked about earlier. There's the trophy list for it. No one has the 100% in it yet. 446 people are playing it. Obviously, being a free game, a lot more people are going to check it out. No one apparently has beaten World 2 or beaten World 3 yet. Get all the stars in each world. Obviously, no one's done that yet. And collect 240 stars, which I'm sure is getting all the stars total. So probably pretty difficult. Mobile, I don't know if it's limiting, though, because it is free to play. So is it one of those deals like the Frozen Freefall game that came out a while ago, where it was like limiting you to buy like microtransactions to get more lives if you failed? Probably that deal. So that's probably why no one's done it yet, which is a turn-off. But I do like the art style. Regardless, I do like the art style. Next up is the last one that we're going to look at for a trailer this week, and that is So Many Me. This is a action platformer. That obviously you have your one character and he gets a whole bunch of them. I don't know if they're clones or friends or whatever, but being called So Many Me, I assume they're clones, finishing certain levels without doing certain things, as well as getting collectibles. Collect every coin, reach 100% completion, so that's probably a little bit challenging. It does have a plat, though, so I'm very, always excited to see that. This is out already on Steam. I'm not sure if it's out on Xbox One or not yet. Let me know if you've messed with it. Thank you, annotation. But yeah, I like the graphic style here. It's cutesy. It's very colorful. And yeah, there is a lot of clones or a lot of this guy. So, like I said, it looks like one of those games I usually would get into if it's not too expensive. Oh, I like that. I like that kind of gimmick of making blocks out of them, different abilities. So yeah, kind of game I usually like. So one that I will probably be checking out once it ends up coming out. Hopefully, like I said, it's not too expensive. That's cool. I like that, being the balloon type thing and floating upwards. Yeah. A lot of people will probably sick of these kind of games, but I will keep playing them because I still very much enjoy them. That was awesome. You can do customization, a little bit of unlockable stuff to customize your little guys. So cool. So Mini-Me looks like it could potentially be a little fun game. Next up is another list for Puyo Pop Tetris. We've talked about this in the past. It is coming to North America here in June, along with European finally getting a release. And I guess this is the Taiwan, Hong Kong list. I'm not positive. I'm just happy we're getting it here. It's probably a very challenging platinum in order to get it because of the stuff that's involved. But I'm happy that we're at least getting that here in North America. Next up is Proton Pulse. Now, this is another VR title that is kind of inspired by Arkanoid. In fact, even having the Moai statues involved reminds me of Arkanoid. Basically, if you've ever played like Super Glove Ball, you know, back on the end with like the hand, like basically you have paddles that you have for your hands for the VR, and you have to like block the ball and knock it back into things and stuff like that. So probably pretty fun as a VR title. Obviously, I don't have the VR, so I won't be able to check it out. But it looks like it could potentially be another little fun kind of, you know, small experience on the VR, but looks like it could be cool. Next up is Nioh, which is the game that's getting a lot of buzz. People are calling it very much inspired from Dark Souls and the like. It is a PlayStation exclusive, so I know that's even getting a little bit more hype. I don't get really into the exclusives. Every game at this point should just be every system. I don't, you know, but a lot of people were, like I said, really hyped for it. Nobody has the platinum yet from the early release. It does come out next week on the PS4. I'm not getting it. I have no interest in it. I'm not into the Dark Souls kind of games at all. So as soon as I heard it was going to be like that, I just wasn't really into it. Reaching level 100, completing all the missions, and I'm sure this is going to be a relatively difficult platinum overall that I'm sure a lot of people will be, you know, foaming at the mouth to get their hands on and trying to go after that platinum. So for those who are interested in the game, I'm hoping you guys love it and enjoy it, because like I said, I know a lot of people are hyped about it. It's just one of those ones I'm not going to be checking out. And the last two lists are games we've talked about in the past. 3-on-3 freestyle basketball, I guess it's getting released in another region. It came out here at the beginning of December. It is a free-to-play game with a lot of grindy butt trophies, like scoring 300 points, scoring 300 blocks, 500 dunks, 20 matches, just a lot of stuff. Get 100 steals total. Win 100 matches, so I'm very grindy for it. And then last but not least, Birthday's the Beginning. We talked about this before with the Japanese list. The game came out in Japan just a couple of weeks ago. It's coming out here in May. Very cool looking game that I'm very much interested in, where it's basically you're gonna like build like this set thing and you have creatures living there. It's Minecraft-esque a little bit, but also reminds me of games like Black and White and the like. So even though I'm not really into Minecraft, this does look the kind of game I could get into. Sandbox type of experience. Probably a lot of stuff going on here, though. Exceed 10 billion in total organisms. It's probably a bit of a grind. Achieve cube temperature of 0. That'll be interesting. Captured each of these kind of animals. Giant pandas. Domesticated dog. Stench blossom. Mammoth, I guess, like Mammothus, so I'm assuming it's like probably a mammoth. So like very cool looking game, one that I'm very interested to get my hands on come May. So anyway, guys, that is PlayStation, everything in PlayStation this week. Let me know down in the comment section below if you're enjoying the series, and there's some of you guys haven't. I'm glad people out there are enjoying this series of videos. I like doing them. I like being able to look at everything that's coming out soon on PSN. Gives me an idea of what I'm going to get hyped for, or what I'm potentially going to review down the road. And also get to talk about all the games that I played this week. I did Platinum Resident Evil 7 this week, which was a really awesome Platinum. Probably my favorite in a while, just because I got it within less than a week of the game's launch, and I really liked Resident Evil 7. Not the most overly difficult thing, but Madhouse will challenge you a bit. There's a few areas in Madhouse in particular that are a really big pain, but I'm happy I got the Platinum in it. And anyway, guys, thank you so much for checking out this video, and of course, I hope you enjoy.